The inquiries on the devices have been reworked to be more flexible and can now be extended, and new ones can be created by the customer or by our own consultants. So here we are on the menu, and so far things should look pretty familiar. We have an item inquiry, a bin inquiry, a lot inquiry and a serial inquiry. And if we run the item inquiry, we enter an item number, that is our filter, and then we get a set of results, a set of columns detailing location, bin, item, etc. And you can see there, according to the bin code column there, that there's not quite enough room to display it. Now, we can control all of this now. In previous versions, the inquiries were fixed. We did not have as much control over them as we do now. We can alter column widths, we can hide columns, and we can create entirely new inquiries for the customer to use. Here in NAV, this is our list of flexible inquiries. Here we can see an item inquiry, and you can see that the data source is set to table 7302 or bin content. This is normally where all the bin content information would be displayed. So that sets what our data source is. If we drill down into filters, we can see what filters the inquiry needs prior to running its query. In this case, we have location and item. Location is a fixed filter and uses one of our reserved values, current location. So this is the device's current location. We won't be asking the user to enter it. And here we have the item filter that we saw when we ran it on the device. The GS1 identifier for item is set to item number, so any scan of an item in a GS1 barcode, whether that be one-dimensional or two-dimensional, will map to that item filter. If we drill down into columns, we can see the columns that will be displayed: location, bin, item, etc., with a visible width. There are reasons why we may want a column in the results that we don't display, but we'll get to that in a moment when we get to relationships. But if we change the width of the bin code column to say 200 and go back to the device, we can see that the bin code column is now wider. And we actually do have a lot of flexibility around that. There are actually additional options to tailor this by group of devices to individual users, as well as specific inquiries. While we're on the browse, if we actually select the column, we have an option here called warehouse entries. And these are defined in what are called relationships. It's the means for us to drill down to more detailed information from where we are. We can actually chain inquiries together. In past versions of Additions Handheld for Warehouse, typically we've always allowed the ability to drill down to warehouse entries from our bin content inquiries. And here we can see these are the individual warehouse entries with their quantities. Now, in order to do that, obviously it has to find a way of linking the bin content results to the warehouse entries. That would normally be by the item number, by the bin code, unit of measure, that kind of thing. If we swap back and look at relationships for item inquiry, we can see that the item inquiry is linked to the warehouse entry inquiry, and it's linking location code, bin code, item number, variant and unit of measure. So that is how it knows to pass on to the next inquiry what it's going to display and how it's going to filter it. We only have one related inquiry in this case, but you can have multiples. So let's create our own inquiry. We have decided that on the receipting menu we would like a list of purchase orders that are due in today. So we're going to have an inquiry that works against the purchase documents, and we're going to try and filter it by the document type being an order and an expected receipt date up to today. So if we click New, we will give it a name, and a description, and we're going to run it off the purchase header table, which is table number 38. We'll start with our filters. So we want to filter against the document type, which is field number 1. We're going to fix that, and we're going to make its value order, because we are only interested in orders. We're going to add an expected receipt date, which is field number 21. We're also going to fix that, and we're going to set the filter to ... today, because we want to filter anything with an expected receipt date up to today that's still outstanding. For completeness sake, we will add the location code, which is field number 28, and we will set that to the current location on the device. So when we run this inquiry, we only want to see orders, we only want to see things with an expected receipt date up to today, and we only want to see orders for the current location. So those are our main filters. And I will very quickly add some columns. Like so. And now we need to add this to the menu. First of all, we will add the inquiry to the functions list. I'm going to create a new function called PODue, which is going to be an inquiry type linked to the PODue inquiry. And then I will add it to the menu so PODue due today there we go. So if we go into the receiving menu, we see we have a new function called due today. If I click on it, we get a list of purchase orders filtered up to an expected due date of today for the current location with the columns that we need.